It's huge actually in
It's
Uzbekistan,
huge.
as
It's
you
a
know it.
critical topic. It's actually a risk for me to take it, like to bring it up.
What is best for the present?
Full regret because you cannot do it anymore, any longer.
Work in a job that is not well paid, but that is related to your major.
Civil takes the easiest option or the best option, as you said. Assalamualaikum friends, welcome back to our second episode of Gen E, Generation Empowerment, where we talk about inspiration, goals, success, and everything related to youth as well as adults. So today I'm your host, Sevinch Nadirova, as usual, and today we have chosen a topic which can be relatable to most of us. Well, it's about the struggle we face after graduating university. Yeah, it's all fun, studying in university and having knowledge and everything, but the world after graduation can be different. And today we're having the conversation with none other than Said Murad Tayyir Khanov. And welcome.
Hey, thanks for inviting. I'm honored to be here. I want to congratulate you with your podcast, first of all. You're doing a great job by educating youth about the social issues and, of course, helping them and guiding them in their challenging life, especially which is quite common in Uzbekistan. I hope you're going to be doing great and I wish you the best of luck. So we can start with the questions if you want.
Yes, we can start with a question, of course. And thank you. Thank you for congratulations and for accepting the invitation. I really am more than glad to host you, to host such an inspirational and success-driven people like you, because you have been in one of the, like, you have studied one of the top 70, right? 70
Yeah.
University of Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, which was my dream, and inshallah I will get there.
Sure.
Then you have studied a course in San Francisco, HR course, human resources, which is kind of hard. Then you have already graduated Tashkent State University of Economics, and and then you have lots of extracurricular activities. And the most important thing is that you can speak multiple languages fluently: English, Russian, Italian, and Uzbek as your native. Wow, that's so hard, but that's achievable. You made it possible. So yeah, then you are starting your own learning center, right? Wow, that must be hard, right?
Yeah, it actually is.
It
It is really
actually,
hard to start your own learning center, especially if you're starting from a very scratch without any networks or support. But thanks to God, I have some networks and I have some support from my side, from the side of my parents, from my friends, and etc.
yes, I can relate to that because starting from something, even if it's a podcast or even if it's as big as learning center, is actually risky. We will take a risk. We will take a big jump in there, and it will pay off at the end. Like over time, it may not be as visible as we think at first, but then it will turn out pretty good, right?
Exactly. I think there's no one who better understands me than you because you are the
Yes,
one who's starting out as well. So
yes.
we're basically on the same boat. So we have to support each other at this point and we have to be supportive and, of course, help each other. And that's why I decided to come here and support you on this journey that you're starting out. And I hope this is going to be the best podcast ever.
Thank you. That means a lot. That means a lot. And yeah, and taking risk actually is something we need to have because most of us may be afraid of taking risk or starting something we want to. At that time, do not be afraid of taking risk. And as we talked in our previous episode, take it one step at a time. Yeah, you may be like your network system or you may not have, but you can reach out for help, right?
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, well, I have prepared some question based on our topic, and we'll start with that. Okay. So
Sure.
so Mr. Saidmar, you have studied abroad, right?
Yeah,
And you speak several languages, and you have taught English for years.
exactly.
Yes, but let's take a step back. and reflect on our topic. What was it like for you right after graduation? As our topic is like the struggle after graduation, what was it like for you after graduation?
Well, this is the question that is right to the point. After graduation, I felt like homeless, I can say. So basically, I knew that there would be no one waiting for me, especially my course mates who were always eager to see me whenever I'd go to university, come to see them, play the games together, do some creative things together. And I knew that there would be no one waiting for me, that there would be no one punishing me at the university for being late or procrastinating my homeworks. But also, I felt that I've become more mature, so I have to take the full responsibility for my life and support my family both financially and emotionally. So this is why I knew that that was a very important point in my life, even though I had to give up some of my hobbies, interests that were related to the university. I had another chance to start a better life, to make it better. But at first, I was feeling quite lonely.
Quite lonely because I still am at college, let's say university and or like culture.
Hmm.
And yes, you have your course mates who will be waiting for you at university, and you will be your teachers and like how I don't know how to call it in Uzbek, but decans or like controllers who will punish you if you
Yeah,
come late or if you do not do your homework. That's why it's our like what privilege to make best of out of it, right?
yeah,
But after the university we do have a whole new world waiting for us. We do have like we will take the full responsibility. Yes, we will have the responsibility of our life on university, but after university it will be all on us, right?
exactly,
We will have to find a job, we
exactly,
will have to support our family, we will have to build our life, and we will have the obligation of to be the best version of ourselves.
exactly.
Yeah, right. So yeah, sometimes I do not want to go to university because it felt exhausting, but I will drag myself there. But having you sharing your experience, I got that we have to make the best out of it, and we have to
For
work on
sure.
ourselves in order to not to be lost, right? After
Exactly.
graduation. Yeah.
Not to regret it at the end of the day. You have to make best out of it and you need to enjoy the life for the full.
Yes, for the fullest, because like the cost of regret, I mean, the heaviness of regret can feel so
Yeah,
excruciatingly
it's
painful.
something so hard, actually.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
got it. And yeah, I do have following question. Well, your experience already shows how challenging it can get after university, right? But there is like social and external influence on students, I mean, on graduates to choose their job or to pursue their career, right? So, well, why do so many graduates? The question is, why do so many graduates end up in the jobs unrelated to their sphere?
Oh, wow. That's the question that has to be answered right here, right by me, I guess.
By you, by who is
Exactly.
experienced at it, right?
Yeah, I'm the one who tasted it on my skin, so I have to tell it. So basically, in Uzbekistan, most of the students after graduating, they end up in the jobs that are totally unrelated to their subject. For example, I had my colleagues who graduated from medicine, from the universities that were related to law, but then they end up working as a teacher because it was paid well. So basically, as a person who as a like fresh graduate, you don't have many options in our country. So you have to either like try to live with it and try to work in a job that is not well paid but that is related to your major, but or you have to sacrifice your dreams and work somewhere where it's well paid but you don't get much like opportunity to experience what you studied for. So and when you choose the lesser of two evils, you have to choose the best one. So that's what most of the students do. they go to work to Karzinka, which is the famous shop in
Yes.
Uzbekistan, and they graduated from architectural college or something, or they go to the learning center because the salary in learning centers is about average, as you know, and
Yes.
it's on the conditions there are way better than in most of the jobs. So it makes them think, what should I do? Because they are quite like inexperienced and they cannot foresee the future. So they decide what is best for their present. Therefore, they stay up in the job that they don't like but pays them well, right?
Ah, got it. The reason why they end up in a job that's unrelated to their sphere is that they will take the easiest option or the best option, as you said, the like
Exactly.
high paid option, which is like, and as we all know, it's kind of hard to find the specific jobs that is related to your sphere, especially if you are a lawyer or diplomat or something like that. But like diplomacy is itself is actually interesting, even if
Exactly.
my sphere is not related to it. My sphere is actually related is mostly related to English and
Mm-hmm.
journalism, but diplomacy is interesting. But most of the diplomats who have graduated will feel the pressure of finding the right job.
Because
Or
in
yeah,
Uzbekistan, we like to look at the things from economical perspective rather than spiritual or educational perspective. This is what the Uzbekistan's economy and the current conditions that we have now require, right? So we need to work
yes.
hard in order to feed our family. Otherwise, we're gonna end up in a situation with a lot of debt and a lot of mortgage payments, you know. Therefore, you have to choose the option that pays you well, that is financially profitable, rather than something like educational.
But I may disagree with you on on this point because yeah, we have some diplomats who are struggling to find job, and
Yeah,
we may have viewers, listeners who are studying in this sphere, and yeah, it may be hard. Some of them may be working in a job seem unrelated to their field, but it doesn't mean they all are. But even if they are, it's right, it's hard to find a job, and we
exactly.
may face a struggle of two ways, two choices. First one, to choose hardest one, which pays like which may pay less, or hardest one, or we can choose the best one with best money. But if I were uh, in that situation, if I were in that situation, I will choose the one related to my passion. Related
Exactly.
to my passion, even if it is hard, even if they pay less at first, because yeah, we may have the responsibility of creating our life, but as we said earlier, the regret after like having the job, after like if you do not work in your field, you will, or if you do not train every day, you will have the like what distance from that sphere or from the thing you are training. Then after being distanced, you feel regret because you cannot do it anymore any longer.
Yes.
And I have had tasted the like tasted the what moment of regret and
Bitterness. Oh,
bitterness, yeah, bitterness of regret. That's why even if it's hard, even if they pay less, I will go for the hardest option, because at the end, as we are doing, we are launching our podcast and our learning center.
chasing the dreams.
Yeah, chasing the dreams, it will like pay off, it will pay off.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's okay to have different views, you know. So yeah, and yeah, my next question is, hmm, well, yeah, the struggles and the reasons we talked about related to finding a job isn't just personal reasons. There are like society affecting it, as we said before. What do you think what do you think it what I mean the question is, what is the role of parents of graduates when the decision process is on the way? Is the
Oh,
question clear?
yeah, the question is very clear. Actually, you're talking about parental impact on the
Yes.
children when
Yeah.
making decisions whether to study or work, right? It's huge actually in
It's
Uzbekistan,
huge.
as
It's
you
a
know it.
critical
Like,
topic. It's actually a risk for me to take it, like to bring it up.
well, I feel so hard about this topic because I'm one of the guys who's been forced to study at the university
Oh,
without
really?
being like allowed to do what I wanted at first. So basically, I can talk from the like a view of the millions, but that's something I tasted on my skin, right? So basically, in Uzbekistan, parents usually dictate the careers of their children by making them to choose the subject or the field that's the most profitable, most like prestigious, like in
Yes.
Uzbekistan, parents usually tell you to get a job as a like a banker, like as a lawyer, as a like
Medicine.
medicine professional,
Yes.
somebody who makes a lot of money. Nowadays it became trendy to become a lawyer or dentist because people realized that they were making
Or
whole
a
lot of
teacher.
money. But then my mission is as a teacher is to prove to the world, to the youngsters who are thinking that teachers are the guys who are wearing a suit and a tie and like those who don't have any penny on their pockets. I want to prove them that the teachers is not like this. Teacher is a person who can drive a Ferrari or Mercedes on a like $1,000 suit, driving a great car and being respected as much as the president or the deputy, right?
Yes.
So I want to have this kind of career and I want to tell the youth that it is really possible. That is my way of living. But parents usually enforce you to do something that you don't want in Uzbekistan. And most of the children, that's why, end up doing something they don't like, or they are so angry on their parents that they quit their careers or their studies and go abroad to work or spend their time on some useless stuff that's not gonna bring any value in their future. And they just try to lie themselves by these ways and try to like hide their pain emotions under this, because we do not have a culture of talking openly in front of your parents. So most of us are not allowed to
Yes,
talk to
sometimes.
our fathers by looking at their eyes or by looking at them or telling our true feelings. Most of the time we hide them, right? We bottle up, we do not show them. So that's the way Uzbeks are brought up. So this is why I think most of them cannot express it, but parents enforce you to do that. So all of them end up being unhappy, like dissatisfied with the careers they chose. I'm not talking about like 100%. I'm talking about
Yeah, you
80
got me
or
here.
70%, you know?
Let's say 15%.
I'm not sure, but in Tashkent, I think it's like 70%. So,
Oh, yeah.
as a guy who was brought up here, who was born to a family of ordinary people who also have been educated by their parents, so there was nobody uneducated in my family. So they were telling me, "You're not gonna ruin this tradition, hierarchy." That was the thing.
So I got it. I mean, in Uzbekistan, especially in Uzbekistan, we do have like we may have like the influence of parents on our decision making, but they will like what recommends the best for us, but we may have different views. We may
Yeah,
have different views than them, and it is okay. It's okay to have different views and different opinions, right?
yeah,
We have to respect your opinion, but we can show that we are able to do what we want to do, and our way of thinking, I mean, our way of pursuing the career we want can be different, and we have to prove that instead of following the stereotypes, right?
yes.
As you said, yeah, you talked about something very critical and
So sensitive.
picky,
Yeah,
sensitive. Yeah,
so
sensitive. That
sensitive.
is why I was looking at you like that. So yeah, we do have like rule of not looking at our parents
Yeah.
and not showing what we feel, but yeah, I mean, the first rule, not looking at them straight away, is actually morally right, but we don't have to hide our feelings.
Yeah, this is like a
Yes.
situation like when you have no other choice but to obey or follow. If it was your enemy or your friend or any sort of like mountain or something, you could remove it somehow. But if that's your parent who's standing on your way, there's no way to escape that. That's what I feel about it.
Our parents doesn't stay on our way. They will just have different views, but you can prove them. I mean, you can prove them that you are right instead of like quoting them as someone, like so-called someone who is standing on your way. So it is really sensitive
Yeah,
that I
that's
couldn't drink
why.
my water. So and uh, so what we have to do in that time, from what I took on what you gave, we do have to we do. It's our obligation to respect our parents, but we can. I think we can. I know I'm still in university, but we can show them. We can show them that we can do it. Just instead of telling what we want because they may see it differently, we can show them results.
Yeah, that's
Results.
right.
That in
That's
that way,
absolutely right.
it works best. So yeah, it was actually really
But
sensitive.
the questions are really good. The ones that you chose are right onto the topic because we're talking about the impact we're gonna make on the youth. So if we do not discuss this kind of crucial questions, I think there's no point of to you and me sitting in here and discussing something, right?
Yes, we are here to discuss the most of the important topics, right?
Yeah,
And instead of hiding our feelings, we may explain it in a right way, or yeah, we can pursue. How can we pursue what we want? In your situation, you were affected by your family, right?
exactly.
Because you've all were educated like mine, like most of us, right? And they like persuaded you to study in economy, right?
Yeah,
And yeah, it affected your life. So
exactly.
and what how can we make or how can we like we as young generation, as our podcast name is Generation Empowered, as young generation, prove that to everyone that we are capable and we will do what we want.
Oh, that's a very good question, actually. So, I'm going to tell you my personal strategy. How did I
Yes.
prove like them wrong and showed them that I'm capable of something?
Yes, you did.
So, this is what is called accept and go. So, this is like when you accept, when somebody gives you an offer, you accept it, but you do not implement it. This is like once I accepted their offer to study at the university, but
Yes.
I went on my own way and I went to study in an exchange program, which was actually my
Yes.
dream. So I
It's
turned
my
something
dream.
that is undesirable into something very desirable for me. So that I felt like I'm winning and they are winning as well at the same time.
Yes, it's going both ways,
Yeah,
right?
because when I was entering university, I told them I'm entering this university just because I want to go to foreign country for an exchange program. So if you allow me for that, then I'm entering, I'm going in. So they told me, okay. So that's the best approach we can take. We cannot ignore our parents all the time, or we cannot be always resistant to their offers. The
Yes.
way we can do it, we can accept their offers, but we can still go on our own way. For example, if the person likes rapping or singing or something, he has to just accept the offer of getting into university, but he can make a compromise with their parents. If you make me enter this university, I want to spend 2 hours of my time on the studio rapping my songs so that you would pay for that, but I would study at the university. So that is the compromise how it's made, and that is how it works, for example. And this worked for me, and this might probably work for somebody else as well. So this is when you allow somebody to change your life or to make a changes, but you also ask them to let you do what you do, right?
Yes, when the deal is established, you can ask them to do what you do because you deserve that, because you are following what they want.
Yeah,
And as you said, we do not. In our family and in my what view, it's kind of wrong to be reluctant to them. Yeah, we may have like disagreements, especially when we are teenagers, but we're not
exactly.
anymore. So, but they're the best person we could have. So yeah, and the way, your way was to make a deal with them, which can
Exactly.
work for like most of us. for
Yeah,
most of
that
us,
is
right?
probably the most practical approach that you can take in our country, I guess.
Yes, that is interesting because in our country, most of us are affected by society, by our relatives, or
Exactly.
by something like that. Do not just accept their offer if they are close to you. Accept their offer and went on your way. By
Exactly.
or if it is the case with your parents, make a deal because they will understand you. You may have
Exactly.
different
This
views.
is when you give them what they want and take what you want, you know? Give and take.
Give and take, yeah, works both ways. So yeah, okay. I do have another question related to society. So society believes that studying abroad solves all problems,
Wow.
right? We do have that like idea, false
Okay.
idea. From your experience, okay, from your experience, is that really true? Studying abroad, can studying abroad does like solve all problems you have?
Well, I can tell you asked the right question from the right person, you know? I'm the one who used to think like that and
Mm.
who used to have this kind of stereotype. Because as you and me, we grew up in a society where we are all brought that somebody who goes to United States and lives there, especially those who study there, tend to make a lot of money out of it and tend to solve all the problems once they come back. But basically, this is not it. Actually, study abroad makes you more independent. It brings a lot of benefits, countless benefits. And the first thing is it makes you more independent. You learn how to stand for yourself, how to like be responsible for everything that you do because we usually are not in Uzbekistan for most of the things we do. We're not responsible, right? And then you learn how to answer for yourself and how to think critically and give more like free opinions about the topics, and this is where you learn how to like grow and study self-study, you know, because in
Yeah,
Uzbekistan mostly we have a forced study, but there you have a self-study. So
yeah,
those topics are really crucial, but it doesn't solve all your problems because it costs you a lot of money. First of all, it also requires like experiencing cultural shock, which is
yeah.
quite
Culture shock.
common
I was going
at
to
the
say.
universities. Like you immerse yourself into the culture that's totally different from yours, especially if you're going to Western countries like European nations, where where the world they live is totally different from the world we live now, right? And also, if you go into the places like Southeast Asia, which is the Asia, but it's the different Asia than that we live in.
So yeah,
So it's like totally different food and like a people as well. So that's where I lived for like 6 months almost, right? So, but there are also other problems that you might face while abroad. For example, you might find the country's climate not suitable for you.
yes.
So also the work conditions may not be as good as you thought, right? That's why what I experienced in Malaysia, for example, once I got there, I decided of working there. And I thought that like if the person is making good money in United States and solving all his problems, I might solve them as well in Malaysia. But it wasn't the case. The salary in Malaysia turned out to be lower than that I was making in Uzbekistan, and it wasn't just low, it was twice as low than that. So basically this kind of things are quite common because the world is huge and wherever you go it depends, like the circumstances are different, political wars, like you know, a lot of problems in the countries, maybe like economical conditions. So studying abroad it doesn't solve all your problems, it gives you the tools necessary to live in this life better.
I can say that I have never been outside of Uzbekistan. Yeah, I have been in some regions of Uzbekistan, but not outside of Uzbekistan. So you have in like several countries like China, Malaysia, and so on and
Malaysia,
so forth.
Thailand,
Thailand and
Singapore,
Singapore,
Turkey,
Turkey,
China. So
China.
this is where you experience most of your cultural shock, especially in China. I can say.
Yeah, especially in China because like they are located where I'm not like.
So basically, they are located right at the central part of the Asia, so just beside the Vietnam. So this is the country which has experienced a significant technological changes. But as we are talking about culture, from the cultural perspective, they are quite different as well. For example, in Uzbekistan, women and all the people are used to dress in a more like a reserved way, but there it's more of a like a freestyle dressing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
okay.
also those people are more open-minded than the ones that are in Uzbekistan. We have a stereotype of thinking of Chinese people of those who are very introverted, but I found, to my surprise, they were quite the opposite. They were
Oh,
quite extroverted and ready to help. So also we might expect Chinese people to be smaller in size, right?
yes.
To be not as big as like Americans or somebody. But to my surprise, not only they were as big as I never thought, but also their meal portions, everything was so big that I never had like in Malaysia or anywhere.
Oh.
So it's like quite a like a spark in my mind, I've changed how I view the world.
From like what I said, all of the things you said, I got that like not everything we hear about like studying abroad and other countries are not true because
Yeah,
we will think that like you said that Malaysia may what pay you higher salary, but it was
yeah.
twice lower than in
Than that I was making here.
yeah, you were making a year, and like Chinese people were smaller, and their like meal portion were bigger than we
Yeah,
think it is. So we don't have to believe everything we hear till we taste
exactly.
it and try it. In
Media is like utterly biased. So we shouldn't believe to the media. That's what I tell the youth and I tell you. So all the information on the media is usually colored and changed and of course made false, I think.
it falls, and we need to identify. We need to learn how to identify which to believe. Yeah, trusting and believing process is actually uh, are actually hard
It's hard.
because
It's hard.
we do not know till we see it on our own eyes, right?
Yeah, especially nowadays when everything goes viral. Whatever you post on Instagram is viral the other day, and you
Yes,
find yourself to be a celebrity, right?
yeah, that's a broad topic actually because we are living in a digital era.
Yeah,
So it's up to us how to sort out the like information we are being fed. We are
to
being
filter it, right?
yeah, we need to learn how to filter it. Yeah, it's a learning process.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got a lot. Like I learned a lot from you, and
Thank you.
you told that it was actually expensive to study abroad.
Yeah.
I know that, but what if they offer you grants or
Oh,
fully funded programs,
that's a
something
very
like that?
good question.
Yeah,
Like, I always thought that the grants were very hard to reach, and I still do think so, because getting a grant means being very distinguished among the crowd. So once you stand out from from the large number of people, you can win a grant. So, but in my life, I wasn't as successful academically as I am in a social circles or in a social life. So you cannot have the best of both worlds. So basically, I was more successful socially. So winning a grant for me was like a dream. So basically, I never thought of this option. But if you have the chance and the opportunity and everything that it takes to win a grant, I think that's the best approach. And some of my friends won the grant and they're studying in a foreign countries without paying a penny, and they're quite fine and they're enjoying their life. And some of them are in United States or Germany or Italy. So they always call me there, but I find the grants to be very hard to get. So, but now I'm going to talk about the experience that they lack after graduating.
yes,
Most of the things our universities miss is that they do not provide the enough resources and of course the expertise that's going to be useful for you to get a job. Because once you graduate from the university, the first thing that 70% of youth does is to go to the job and apply right away. So this is when all the challenges come. So this is when you get the answer from the employer that you're not experienced enough, which you were supposed to get at the university. So this is when most of the youngsters are shocked because they were told by either by their parents or by their neighbors, which is usually done like you're going to get the best job you want after you graduate. But it
Yes.
doesn't work like that in 21st century. So this is when they hear that you're not qualified enough for the job and they are shocked, they are stressed, they're annoyed most of the time. So this is the biggest challenge youngsters face, which I also did when I was like looking for a job. So I think the universities should better focus at the practical lessons rather than on the theoretical side so that it would be more interesting for youth to like participate in the lessons, and they would surely know that after graduating they would have some hands-on experience on the field they were chasing or they were choosing, you know.
So yeah, I can relate to what you said because like universities are good, but they do not provide enough practical knowledge and experience you need to pursue. I mean, you need to get the job you want after graduation. Because I do, and we can see that lots of youngsters, let's say graduates who are like finding it hard to find a job because whenever they apply for it, they will refuse to get them
Exactly.
because they may not have enough practical knowledge or experience.
Exactly.
And then it goes back to our university, especially
Exactly.
if it is national university.
Definitely. I
Yeah.
couldn't agree more with you. I'm not telling you that 100% of the universities that are functioning in Uzbekistan do not have or do not provide practical experience. There are some of the good ones that are totally career focused, that give you the skills necessary or equip you with the necessary skills to start up your career after graduating. Recently, I've heard some of my friends who just started the university, but from the very first day they started taking an interview from the football players or somebody.
Wow.
This is how the university, all the universities should function in Uzbekistan. They have to provide you the skills necessary, not the theories that were discussed by many centuries but weren't solved so far, you know. There should be a practical implication of the knowledge that you get from the university. For example, I've graduated from tourism, international tourism faculty. But once I graduated, I knew how everything works, not because I studied at that university, but because I've traveled. I've seen the
Yes.
practical implication of everything, you know? That's what I'm saying about it.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you. Yeah, like it's not so. Actually, I got sensitive again. It's not so fault of universities. They will do their best to like what provide us with enough implication and as what supply of knowledge, but it is what we should do is to practice. I mean, is to apply what we learned.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
to use what the knowledge we have.
Exactly. Here you give me a point actually. We are not to blame the universities only for that. Like it's not the only university's mistake that children, most of the children after graduation, students are not getting a job. It's their responsibility as well because
Yes.
for all the youth that are watching us now, I want to advise that they have to pay attention to the field they choose before choosing it. They have to try their luck in that field within 4 years. I mean, 4 years, it's a lot of time. It's
Yes.
like, I don't know, more than 1,000 days, which can be used for getting an experience or getting professional at some point. You know, they say 10,000 hours are enough to be an expert in some field. So they have more than 10,000 hours to be an expert in their field, even if they spend some of it for relaxing, some of it for studying. So that they have to use it for their own sake, and they shouldn't like expect everything from the university, because university is just a place that functions to give the right guidance, but they have to take the responsibility and they have to work on themselves. so that after graduating they shouldn't like complain about it, right?
Yes, yes, you give the like exact right point. We are not to blame like universities because they will do like they will what provide us with practical like theoretical and enough knowledge, but we shouldn't be solely relied on university because
Yeah.
they will all. So okay, do you think struggles are necessary or can they be avoided?
Well, actually, struggles are very necessary. All the like adversaries that you face in your life that you overcome are going to make you the person you are going to get you where you want to be in the near future. And they are the things that are going to teach you how to not do the things and how to do the right things in life.
Yes, they are the best teacher we can have, right? The
Exactly.
struggles and the obstacles we face.
Exactly.
So yes, since we are running out of time, let me like ask you the last questions. I actually prepared lots of questions which can be controversial, but I hope we will have like another sessions again in
I
the
hope so.
near future. So my next question. Okay. Well, I do have like habit of asking one question in Gen A in our podcast, and it is that what is the best advice you have ever received so far, and what advice would you give to the students who are studying and who to the graduates who are struggling?
Hmm.
Because you are the expert and you are the definition of how to survive, like how to break out of like social like what
Social circle,
social
social.
circle, yeah, so call it social circle, and how to find your own voice, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. The first question I would answer like it was about the best piece of advice I received. So this was like 2 years ago when I was going to not 2 years, I'm sorry, it was 5 years ago actually. So when I was just starting out, I got into one job place and I talked with the HR manager of the company, and something he told me that totally shifted my mindset. And he told me that you look like a guy who has the potential to study, not the potential to work with your hands.
Ah.
So you better start your career in teaching or learning or something. So you have to learn and you have to put the purpose of making the foreigners work for you, not yourself work for foreigners. So that is what made me who I am right now. And I'm really, truly thankful for that person. I can't even recall the name of the person, but the person really changed my mind, changed my way of living. And since then, I started teaching English and I became who I am right now. And what the advice I'm going to give the youth, current youth, who are now struggling, maybe at some point of their life, I want to give them the thing that do the thing that you think right for yourself. Do the thing that you're not going to regret in the future. Maybe people don't like it, people talk about it, maybe people criticize you for doing this. But at the end of the day, you will be sure that you did something, even though it doesn't succeed, even though you fail. You will think that I did what I wanted, I did what I hoped for, I did, but it didn't succeed, but I'm going to do it again. This is what you're gonna be ending up if you're doing the thing that you like and the thing that you feel very hard about, very like passionate about. That's my advice.
Wow, that is really powerful. Actually, the both of, I mean, the both piece of it, like the advice he received, it was actually powerful because he had the right thing. He had seen the spark you have, the energy you have, the potential you have. You may have been underestimating, and yeah, you are like after that. After I casually say that this advice shaped like your like decision on how to build your life,
Exactly.
and it made you who you are, who is,
Exactly.
I mean, who is role model and for who is really inspirational and who has experience at everything that you can advise
Exactly.
us. I mean, it advise us, which is very beneficial. I mean, your advice was really awe-inspiring, inspirational, and relatable because most of the youth will quit on what they love, what they want to do, but the regret of it can feel heavy. Yeah, you may feel at first. It may be screwed up. It may be not as good as you expected, but go on what you want, what you want, what
Yeah.
you want.
Be on it.
Yeah, be on it. So thank you for coming.
Thank you very much
coming.
for
It
calling
was
me.
actually an honor, and it was actually beneficial, and it was
I'm
actually
honored too.
needed for us to hear, and we clear out all the misconception about everything, and we talk it about stereotypes. Even if the timeline was out, I hope we will be meeting again.
Sure.
Thank you. So yeah, so everyone,
Thank
it
you very
was
much.
us with you, Said Murad, Tahir Honor, and me, Simish Nadirova, with the podcast of Gen A, Generation Empowered, where we talk about critical issues, youth-related topic, self-development, and everything that can benefit you. So don't forget to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and soon on Telegram in order not to miss any single episode we will have next on the near future, and also backstage moment. So see you soon, and thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Set everything on fire and good luck.
Thank you.